She says she wants more affection, more love, more attention, more of you. So, you give it. You soften. You open up. You compliment her more. You reach for her hand. You ask how she feels again and again. And yet, she pulls away. Her body stiffens. Her eyes avoid. Her replies get shorter. Her desire fades. What just happened? You did what she asked. You gave more love. And somehow it made things worse. So now you're confused, frustrated, maybe even angry. You wonder, why does she say one thing and react to the opposite? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Maybe she doesn't want more love. She wants a different kind of man to deliver it. One who doesn't offer it out of fear. One who doesn't smother her with sweetness, hoping she stays. One who doesn't disappear into the role of the nice guy. Because here's what most men don't understand. Women don't respond to affection. They respond to presence. And when your affection is dripping with anxiety, when it's wrapped in neediness, when it's delivered too often, with too little weight, she feels it, not in her mind, in her body. And her body says, number, not because she's cruel, not because she doesn't love you, but because her desire system is wired to react to depth, to confidence, to gravity. She doesn't want a man who needs her to feel okay. She wants a man who feels okay, and chooses her anyway. So tonight, we're going to break this down. Why she pulls away when you get close, why niceness doesn't equal attraction, and how to reconnect with the part of you that once made her lean in before you started trying so hard to please her. Because when you stop chasing, you start pulling, and when you stop explaining, she starts feeling. Ready? Let's begin. She said she wanted affection, so you gave it. You softened. You tried to be more understanding, more gentle, more available. You sent sweet messages. You made thoughtful gestures. You listened more. You held back anger, swallowed discomfort, and chose peace over ego. But something felt off. The more you leaned in, the more she leaned out. You touched her gently. She tensed. You told her she was beautiful. She smiled politely, then changed the subject. You tried to open up, speak from the heart, and her eyes glazed over. At first you told yourself she was tired, busy, distracted. But deep down, something didn't add up. You were doing exactly what she asked for. More love, more attention, more presence. And yet, her body stopped responding. There were fewer touches, less laughter, almost no spark. What happened? Most men think women want words, want comfort, want sweetness. But here's the truth no one teaches us. Women don't respond to what you say. They respond to what you radiate. It's not about the words you speak, it's the energy behind them. A man who says, I love you, from fear, from insecurity, from a need to be reassured, triggers withdrawal. His love feels heavy, demanding, needy. Even if the words are perfect, the feeling is wrong. But a man who says nothing, and simply is, grounded, calm, settled, he pulls her in. Not through charm, not through effort, but through depth. She can feel when your affection is an offering, versus when it's a plea. Science confirms what many men learn the hard way. In studies by Kinsey, Chivers, and others, women were shown images while hooked to arousal monitors. They often said they weren't turned on, but their bodies told a different story. What they consciously rejected, their nervous system responded to deeply, instinctively. The body doesn't lie. That's the paradox of feminine desire. It doesn't respond to nice. It responds to certainty, stillness, wait. That doesn't mean you must be cold, harsh, or dominant. It means being rooted in yourself. She doesn't need constant reassurance. She needs to feel your center. The steadier you are, the safer she feels, and the more her desire wakes up. But when you try too hard, when your love becomes performance, when you reach for her, hoping she'll validate you, she pulls away. Not because she wants someone else, but because she wants you, the version of you that isn't seeking her approval. The irony is cruel. The more love you try to give, the less she feels it. But when you stop trying to be lovable and simply stand still in who you are, she softens, she opens, she leans, not to your words, but to your presence. And in that moment, you realize what real connection feels like. Quiet, unforced, unmistakable. He told her, I love you. every day. Said it over coffee. Said it before bed. Left notes on her pillow. Texted it from work. She smiled, most of the time. Sometimes she even said it back. But something in her tone didn't match what it used to. There was no fire in her voice. No pause, no breath between the words. Just routine. Warm, but lifeless. He tried harder. Added compliments. Brought flowers home. Booked a dinner. Watched the movie she liked. But none of it reached her. She thanked him. She hugged him. But her body stayed closed. He didn't understand. He thought she was ungrateful. He wondered what else he had to do. Until one night, he didn't say anything. He just looked at her. Not with performance. Not with hope. Not with need. Just looked. Grounded. Quiet. Present. And in that moment, something changed. She looked back. Not because of what he did, but because of how he was being. There was no need in his gaze. No question hiding behind it. Just stillness. Just wait. It wasn't about the words. It was about the gravity behind the eyes. And suddenly, her body softened. Because the truth is, a woman knows when love is being performed. She knows when it's a gesture done for validation, not for connection. But when you offer presence with no agenda, when your gaze doesn't ask for anything, when your love carries no pressure to be returned, she feels it, and it lands. Not in her ears, in her skin, in her breath, in the part of her that responds to energy, not explanation. That's what most men miss. They think attraction is about doing, about saying the right thing, about trying harder. But attraction lives in stillness, in restraint, in the ability to not rush in, to let the moment breathe, to hold your frame when things get quiet, even tense. There's a reason the deepest scenes in movies happen without a word. A glance, a touch, a pause. That's where the weight is. Because women don't want your declarations. They want your certainty. They want to feel your rootedness. That sense that you don't need their reaction to feel complete. And from that place, you don't have to say, "I love you," every day. Your energy will speak for you. Your silence will say more. Your gaze will land deeper. Not because it's calculated, but because it's real. She'll feel it, and she'll lean in. Not because you begged for it, but because you didn't. That's the moment desire returns. Not because you chased her, but because you remembered who you were. And that version of you, that's the one she's been waiting to feel again. There's a strange moment in many long marriages, when the woman no longer wants to touch her husband, yet panics if he doesn't come home on time. She says she needs space, but asks where you're going when you finally take it. She says she wants peace, but seems to light up the second you stop arguing back. You wonder, is she confused? Contradictory? Just hard to please? But the truth is deeper. It's wired into her. Desire isn't born from having everything. It's born from the sense that something could still be lost, that he could still walk away, not out of anger, but out of choice, that he loves her deeply, but doesn't belong to her completely. This is where many men get it wrong. In trying to be a good husband, they become over-available, too responsive, too predictable. They answer every text immediately, explain every decision, never say no, never hold stillness in conflict. They become safe to the point of becoming invisible. But women don't fall in love with routine. They don't crave the man they can fully predict. They crave polarity, a subtle charge of tension, a reminder that he is his own man, even when he loves her deeply. Not wild, not cruel, just untouchable, in the right ways. So what does that look like? It's not about ignoring her messages, but not dropping your life just to prove something. It's not about stonewalling, but choosing silence over small arguments she secretly hopes you'll rise to. It's not about control, but calmly making a decision without needing constant approval. She doesn't need a man who asks her what brand of toothpaste to buy. She needs a man who just buys it, because he trusts himself. She doesn't need you to explain every emotion. She needs to feel that you've handled them already internally. She doesn't want to run your life. She just wants to feel included in the direction you've already set. It's the difference between a man who says, "Aman, where do you want to eat tonight?" versus, "I made a reservation. Wear something you feel gorgeous in." Both are kind. Only one carries weight. And it's not a game. It's not manipulation. It's not being distant for effect. It's being centered, grounded, unshakable. When she feels that, she softens, not because you're controlling her, but because she can relax into your direction. You're no longer something she has, you're something she chooses again. And that's the difference between emotional safety and emotional gravity. A man who disappears into her world becomes an accessory. A man who holds his world and invites her into it becomes a force. So if she starts testing you with silence, don't rush to fill it. If she gets moody over little things, don't shrink to please her. If she seems to challenge your steadiness, don't flinch. Because the moment you become a man she can't fully manage is the moment she starts looking at you again. Not with obligation, but with curiosity. And that curiosity is the seed of desire. Not because she wants to own you, but because part of her has always wanted to be led by a man who doesn't lose himself, even while loving her. You thought loving her meant pleasing her, saying yes more, explaining more, apologizing quickly, even when you weren't sure what for. You thought it meant giving up parts of yourself so she could feel whole. And at first, she smiled. She thanked you. She said you were different, gentle, safe. But one day, the spark left her eyes. She stopped touching you, stopped asking, stopped leaning in. You did everything right, everything she asked for. But she stopped wanting you. And maybe no one told you why. Maybe no one told you this truth. Love without gravity turns into guilt. Affection without boundaries becomes noise. Softness without strength feels empty. Because love, real love, doesn't mean disappearing. It means becoming more you, not less. She doesn't want to be chased. She wants to feel drawn, pulled into the orbit of a man who moves with purpose, who doesn't explain his presence, who doesn't seek approval just to breathe. She wants to feel that you are already full, that your heart is open, but not starving, that your hands are gentle, but not trembling, that your voice is calm, but not hollow. That's the man she wants to follow, to lean into, to surrender to, not because you demand it, but because your presence makes her feel safe to do so. This isn't about dominance. This isn't about playing hard to get. This is about holding your center when her storms come. Not flinching, not pleasing, just standing still, like a mountain in the rain. And from that stillness, she'll feel your weight, your depth, your gravity. She'll remember the man she first desired, not the one who chased her, not the one who changed for her, but the one who stood so fully in himself, she couldn't help but be pulled in. So stop asking what she wants. Start becoming who you are. Because that version of you, quiet, steady, unmoved, is the one her body remembers. Not the words, not the gifts, not the gestures, but the weight. And when your love carries that kind of gravity, she won't need to be convinced. She'll feel it, and she'll want to come home. If she ever wanted you, then that desire never truly died. It may be buried, under years of habit, under softened voices and avoided conflict, under the weight of 1,000 small gestures, all well-meaning, but none magnetic. But it's still there, because she never stopped needing polarity, never stopped responding to gravity, never stopped craving the feeling of being drawn not out of obligation, but out of instinct. You just made it too easy to walk past you, too available, too agreeable, too quick to explain. She didn't want you to disappear. She wanted you to hold your direction, hold your edge, hold the space where her emotions didn't knock you off center. That's where she feels safe enough to soften again. So tonight, don't speak too much. Don't text her long messages. Don't explain yourself. Just be somewhere in the house where she can feel you, doing something that grounds you. Maybe you're fixing something with your hands. Maybe you're reading, or standing at the window, still, silent, but awake. When she walks past, don't rush to please. Don't comment. Don't reach. Let her feel that you are there, solid, rooted, not ignoring her, but not orbiting her either. Because the truth is, your presence is louder than your promises. And if there's one thing that can make her want you again, it's not flowers or dinners or trying to prove you've changed. It's her sensing that you've finally come home, not just to her, but to yourself. That's the moment she looks again, the moment her breath shifts, the moment she stops walking and feels drawn, not because you chased, but because you stopped running. And that stillness? It might just be the most seductive thing you've ever done.